Hey guys, so if you've thought about investing in real estate, you can go, the traditional route, which is find a realtor, find a property, buy that property, manage it or live in it, and then, either flip it or rent it out to someone. That's the traditional way, and it's still obviously a great way to build income. But there's another way, and that's through REITs, which is real estate investment trusts. And the advantage of a REIT is that you don't have to go through all the trouble of, buying a property and all that stuff. You can buy a REIT like any other stock that you can find on Robinhood or Webull or any other stock trading platform. And the great thing about a REIT is that they are required to return 90% of their profits to you in the form of dividends if you invest in them. So if you're asking yourself, what is the advantage of buying a REIT as opposed to the traditional way of buying property? Well, one of the main advantages is that you don't need a lot of money to start, at least. So when you're buying property, you typically need anywhere between 3 to 20%, depending on the property you're buying and what programs you're using to buy that property. With a REIT, it can be as little as a few dollars. It's totally dependent on the type of REIT that you're trying to buy. Just like you would, look for a certain price or a certain industry for a stock, it's the same thing applies to buying a REIT. Another advantage to a REIT is diversification. So much like a mutual fund or an ETF will pool their money together and buy a bunch of different stocks, a REIT, instead of doing that, they will invest in a bunch of different properties. So this goes back to the what I said in the beginning is diversification. So you might have a REIT that is they only buy malls. They only invest in malls. Or you might have another one that only invests in apartment buildings, or another one that invests in only hospitals or data centers, and so on and so forth. So the advantage of buying a REIT is that you're not buying just one property, you're basically buying a small amount of a lot of properties, depending on, of course, how much of that REIT you own. So another advantage of REITs is that it's passive. You don't have to actively manage the properties, or you don't even have to hire anyone to manage the properties, and it's because you have experts managing those properties for you. So they're essentially working for you because you invested in that REIT or in those companies. So it takes away that whole burden of having to constantly look at the properties, and you can feel safe knowing that there are professionals handling the management of the properties that you invested in. And lastly, REITs are liquid. So if you are buying a house or property, if you needed that cash quickly, it's just not that easy. You're going to have to go through the whole process of finding a buyer, and then you have to go through all the red tape that you have to go through. When you are buying a REIT, you are buying and selling as easily as you would any other stock. So if you are on Robinhood or Webull, for example, if you are cash strapped and you need that cash fast, you can sell that REIT on the market, and within 3 or 4 days, depending on your bank, you'll have that money in your account. And you just cannot do that with traditional property. So if you want to talk about being able to buy and sell, you really can't beat a REIT when it comes to liquidity. So high level, these are just a few of the advantages of why I like REITs and why I encourage you to look up the specific kind of REITs that you may be interested in investing. And until next time, guys, stay safe, keep on investing, and let's talk stocks.